me in sharing my little accident early this morning, but we need something like that to just give us perspective on the issues in our lives,
Mm,
because we're always moaning, groaning, wanting bigger, wanting better, and then something
uh-huh.
like this happens, and then you realize just how fortunate you are. And here you are giving me a different perspective to the issue around unemployment.
Mm,
When I heard about the fact that there's a slight, increase as far as employment figures are concerned, I kind of said to myself, "So what? It is so marginal. Marginal. Is it really going to make an
mm.
impact?" But I think I've changed my mind. Even that marginal increase, I think, bodes very, very well for us in South Africa. So over to you, Desiree.
Yeah. Okay. Salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yeah. We were releasing the quarterly labor force survey yesterday, the 15th of August. And what happened is that what we see from the data, we see employed persons increasing by about 154,000 to 16.3 million. I think we'll be happy to say that the number that we see of the unemployed population, it is closing on to the number that we saw before COVID of 16.4 million. Now, when we look at the number of unemployed persons, the number declined by 11,000 during the quarter when we compare with the first quarter of 2023. And also, we see the not economically active population, which is the population that did not work or do not have work, or they did not look for work for reasons of like discouragement. They were students or they were ill. That those are the reasons that they could not look for work. We see the number also decreasing by a net 1,000. But the main thing that we are also seeing from the not economically active population is that discouragement decline, meaning people are starting to go and look for jobs. And some people moved from being discouraged to being either unemployed or employed. Now, the results of employment which increased and unemployment which declined saw the unemployment rate declining by 0.3 of a percentage point to 32.6% in the second quarter of 2023. And when we also look at the expanded definition of unemployment, we see the expanded definition of unemployment also declining by 0.3 of a percentage point to 42.1% in the same quarter. Now, I think you also mentioned that, I mean, we are happy to see employment increasing, but which sectors basically saw the main increases or contributed to the main increase in employment? We see the industries like construction creating most of the jobs at about 104,000. We also see trade increasing the number of employed persons by 92,000, and the community and social services also increasing employment by 63,000. However, even though we saw the increases in employment in those industries, there were some industries that sort of lost jobs. We see manufacturing losing about 96,000 jobs, and finance also losing about 68,000, while transport also lost about 7,000 jobs.
I don't know if Stats South Africa tries to look at the reasons why there are job losses in certain sectors. If you have, can you share that information with us?
Um, what we do is to ask people whether they were employed or unemployed during the period and which industries they basically work in if they have a job. We also try and look at other, like the previous industries of those people that did not have jobs. But in terms of why the industries lost jobs, we don't basically go into details of that. All we do is just to measure which industries created jobs within the quarter and which industries lost jobs. Because we go to households and ask households as a series of questions as to during the period under investigation, whether they had employment or they did not have employment. And if they were not looking for a job, that's where we ask them the reasons why they did not look for jobs.
Be interesting if in your next survey or going forward to try and include that in your in your study, just so that it gives us an indication as to why certain
Yeah.
industries are not performing. I guess a lot of the answers would be the issue around the energy crisis in the country. That I
It's
should
possible.
imagine would be the key driver. But having said
Mm.
that, when I was, looking at the stats, the SA Stats report, and I looked at the number which you also shared with us this morning, 154,000 jobs have been created. Initially, I did say, so what's the big deal? But when we calculate that by 16, because we know every one person impacts on 16 other lives in the immediate circles, that number is pretty considerable, is it not?
Yes, that is true. But also remember that the population that we're looking at population 15 years and above in terms of collecting the data. But when we do our publications, we report on the population that is 15 to 64. This is mainly based on the old age definition of those who can go on to pension, which is after 65. But the data is also available for those that are above 65. We can also measure that. But I mean, we're looking at 16.3 million of the employed population. I think when we look at what we call the absorption rate, the the economy has not been able to absorb enough people of working age into the labor market. And if we look at what we say when we talk about the absorption rate, we are looking at the proportion of the population of working age that is employed. Now we are looking at about 40.1% of the 15 to 64 age groups that are in employment, and 40.1%, we have not been able to reach that level that we had before COVID, which in like, if we look at 10 years ago, we had about, although not that huge, about 42.3% of the population of working age were in employment. But this number since COVID has declined, and we are now looking at about 40.1%. And also, in terms of the population that is also participating in the labor market, we are looking at the proportion of those that are in the working age population that are supposed to be active in the economy or in the labor market. They are either employed or they are looking for a job. We are looking at a figure of 59.6%. It has improved when we look at 10 years ago, where the figure was like 56.6%. So yeah, I think I mean 16.3 million. I think I would say we are a bit hopeful that we will reach those levels that were sort of impacted by COVID, 16.4 million, going forward.
We sincerely hope that. Can we go for an ad break, please, and come back and talk some more on this issue? So please do stay with us.
Okay.
And surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042 203 1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
The Turkey-Syria earthquake is among the deadliest earthquakes of the last century. Thousands have lost their lives, and large areas and cities and towns in southern Turkey and northern Syria have turned to rubble, leaving huge numbers of residents with very little or nothing at all. Al Imdad Foundation's emergency relief team is on the ground providing life-saving aid. The people of Turkey and Syria desperately need your support. Donate online at alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243 for more information.
There's no smell that takes me back to the comfort of my childhood than the smell of black seed oil being applied by my nanny. Now I'm using Tib black seed in my own home to soothe sniffles and coughs, to help with digestion and immunity, and of course, as part of my beauty routine. After all these years, I've come to appreciate the wisdom in finding comfort and shifa in trusted treatments like Tib black seed. You can find Tib black seed at all leading pharmacies or find out more at blackseed.co.za.
Sponsor an orphan, and you'll help support a vulnerable child to have the education they've always dreamed of, so they can build a brighter future. You'll be feeding a hungry stomach and a hungry mind with knowledge that will last them a lifetime. That's the power of an education. Sponsor an orphan now with Islamic Relief.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it can only mean Al Bayt Lodge, your true home away from home. Al Bayt is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists, with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities, conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities. Your stay will be truly unforgettable, as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Al Bayt has to offer. For reservations, call 041 583 6415 or visit www.albaytlodge.co.za.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
Welcome back. It's exactly 8:22 a.m. on News and Views right here on Salam Media. A lovely day in my part of the world. And of course, I am talking with Desiree Manamela, Chief Director responsible for Labour Statistics at StatsSA, bringing us some good news this morning regarding unemployment rates. Desiree, back to the issue regarding unemployment. I'm not quite sure how comprehensive your survey study is. Do you actually ask the question of the unemployed youth if they are pursuing a particular type of job? And the reason why they're not employed is because they can't find the job that they're looking for. And they refuse to settle for second best. Is that a question? And if so, what type of responses are you getting? Are the youth or unemployed people desperate enough to take anything that comes their way? Or are they very particular in going after the job that they believe that matches their skills?
Unfortunately, Julie, the kind of questions we don't ask the youth if they are pursuing any particular kind of job. What we ask is everybody 15 years and above, if they have done any kind of work during the reference period, whether it was for pay or for profit. Those are the type of questions we ask, and whether they have helped unpaid in a family business. And if they were not working during the reference period, what we ask them is whether they were temporarily absent from their jobs during the period, which in fact we, according to the international definition, we record them as being in employment. And we don't ask the youth or anybody within the working age population whether they are pursuing any specific kind of work. And because we also ask them about what the type of education level that they have, but we do not link that to the type of work that they're supposed to be having. Unfortunately, we do not ask that question, Julie.
I'm wondering why not. Wouldn't it give us an in-depth picture of what what the expectations are of job seekers and what the labor market has to offer. And as a country, South Africa, perhaps also bring in the tertiary institutions, etc., and try and create future suitable matches for unemployed youth and the economy. I know it sounds very burdensome because then your sheets will run into pages and pages, but you would get a clearer picture, wouldn't you, of what exactly the situation is on the ground.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Julie. But like you mentioned, it will turn into pages and pages of questionnaire where we have to find ourselves burdening the respondents with a lot of questions. And I mean, to my view, I think we might maybe require a different survey to add all those extra questions. And we basically sort of try, like, because we base our surveys on the recommendations by the International Labour Organization. And I think based on that, if we have to include those extra questions and just to find out from the youth, specifically the youth that are unemployed, what kind of jobs they are looking forward to, whether the jobs that they are they matching the kind of education or skills they have. But we have not been able to do such. And from my understanding is that the International Labour Organization mismatched kind of questions and survey that they will recommend to countries to include into their labor force survey. So with a lot of research base and also best practices, what other countries have done in terms of measuring that, I think we might be able be in a situation to get that kind of information into our surveys. But it will take us a little bit of time because we have to go through those kind of research, see what the recommendations are from those that have done it and those that recommend to different countries, as well as what the other countries have done. But yeah, I think you're right.
Desiree, being Chief Director responsible for labour statistics at Stats South Africa, I'm sure you do follow the economic trends very closely in the country and major events in the country as well. Are you very hopeful with the BRICS summit? Because we're hearing a lot of economists suggesting that the BRICS summit is going to create a lot of employment. My thinking is that it's going to be short-term employment. You know, much like the World Cup, we're sitting with a whole host of white elephants when we look at all of those stadiums that were built. And at that time, people got very, very excited, saying that the World Cup is going to generate X millions of jobs, and people are going to be possibly employed for the next 10, 15, or even 20 years. That did not happen. What we are sitting with are a whole host of white elephants. So your thoughts regarding the BRICS summit being here for 2 weeks, how much of employment will it create? It's going to be very short term, isn't it?
Julie, unfortunately, as a representative for Statistics South Africa, I am not able to predict what may happen with the BRICS summit or forecast what could happen during the BRICS summit. What we basically do is just to collect the data during the periods under the discussion and report based on that. But in terms of predicting the future, unfortunately, that is above me.
Okay, I'll let you off the hook there. Let's talk about what does Stats South Africa do with all of these figures? Obviously, it goes out countrywide, it goes to industries, it goes to interested role players. What does government do with these stats? Because they ought to be doing something meaningful with the stats that's being released. They need to not sit on their hands and start getting active and start being proactive to start creating or getting the economy rolling, isn't it?
Yeah, I think what we do with the data, once the data has been collected, we release it like we did yesterday through media. We had a lot of media houses at StatsSA yesterday who came to listen to us when we present the data. And remember also that the data are also under embargo, so everybody gets the data at the same time when we release. Now, the data that we use, we have sort of different users of the labor statistics, which is government, academics, researchers, other international organizations, and policymakers. So government will use the data for policy making and decision making. So as the mandate of Statistics South Africa is to produce the statistics and provide them to the relevant stakeholders. We provide it through reports, through the internet. The data is there, and through different type of requests. People can send emails to Statistics South Africa, through to the Labor Statistics Division or our user information system, or even call us for any specific data that they require for different purposes, like for planning and policy making. So the data is always there and readily available for those who need it for different reasons.
Undoubtedly, actuarial scientists will be very interested in this data regarding their planning, their future planning, and of course, insurance companies as well, whether it's short-term, long-term. Yes, they're very interested in all of this information because they then need to on-sell their financial products. But I think that's where we're going to leave it, Desiree. Thank you indeed for chatting with us this morning. Until the next time, when the next set of statistics are ready, we'll talk again. Have yourself a great day.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. You too, ma'am. Thank you.
It is exactly 8:32 a.m. News and Views on Salam Media. Standing by to talk with us is Ashraf Patel. He's the Senior Research Associate at the Institute for Global Dialogue. And we are going to be talking about BRICS, the BRICS Summit that is happening here in our country. So please do stay with us on that very important interview. Ashraf's going to give us an in-depth look into what we can expect pre and into BRICS and post-BRICS as far as South Africa and the economy and politics is concerned. Also coming up on the show in the second hour, we will be talking to non-tobacco Aisha Mkwanazi. She's a journalist at Muslim Views. She is our Woman in Media Today. And then we will talk with Rahma Kar, Regional Sales Manager in the Western Cape for Al Baraka Bank, South Africa. We're going to be talking about the business networking morning, which is going to happen pretty soon. And we will also talk with Tato Masiangoako from SERI, which is Socio-Economic Rights Institute of South Africa. So as you can see, we have a jam-packed morning right here on News and Views. Definitely not to be missed. Let's go for an ad break and then we'll be joined by Ashraf Patel.